4 in the morning, 25 July 1799. 15,000 Ottoman soldiers sleep behind earthworks on a narrow peninsula north of Alexandria, their trenches facing south with the sea at their backs on both sides. 23 kilometers away, 10,000 French soldiers, with no fleet and no way home, march through dusk toward them, having not slept and having not eaten properly in weeks. By sunset, 11,000 men will be in the Mediterranean swimming for ships 2 miles out, and most will not get 20 meters. This is not a retreat, but a drowning, and Napoleon planned it. 12 months earlier, the trap was French. On 1st August 1798, Horatio Nelson finds the French fleet anchored in Aboukir Bay and attacks at sunset, and 13 French warships burn through the night until the flagship Orient explodes. The army Napoleon brought from Toulon, more than 40,000 men, is cut off. They hold Cairo and Alexandria, but have no contact with Paris because British cruisers take every letter. In Cairo, soldiers write that they feel buried alive, while in London newspapers print that Bonaparte is finished. In Istanbul, the Ottoman Sultan declares war and builds 2 armies to take Egypt back. One will march overland through Syria and one will sail to the coast. Napoleon must smash one before the other arrives. He chooses Syria. In February 1799, he marches north with 13,000 men and takes El Arish and Gaza. At Jaffa on 7th March, his guns breach the walls, and for 2 days his troops sack the town in revenge after the defenders kill his envoys. Then bubonic plague spreads from crowded houses and cases rise to hundreds a day, while surgeons bleed men and fail. On 14th March, Napoleon leaves the sick and moves on Acre. There the Ottoman governor, Mustafa Pasha, waits with engineer Antoine de Philippot, who once studied with Napoleon. Offshore Sidney Smith lands guns and feeds the town, and for 62 days French columns attack and fail. On 21st May, Napoleon spikes his guns and turns back with 2,200 dead, 1,000 from plague alone. While Napoleon trudges back through desert, the Ottoman army sails. On 14th July, 60 British and Ottoman ships anchor off Aboukir and land 16,000 men. 300 French infantry in a camp are overrun and killed. The Ottomans turn to the fort. 35 French soldiers hold the tower for 3 days before surrender, and red flags rise. Mustafa Pasha does not march. He is 60, a veteran against Russia, and he orders his men to dig. The peninsula is a narrow finger with sea on both sides barely a mile wide. He lays 2 lines of trenches across it, 1,700 meters with 30 guns and both flanks touching water. Between the lines lies the village, and behind the second line stands the fort, which looks unbreakable. So the easy answer suggests itself. The French are veterans of Italy, while the Ottomans are not. So French columns will march and Ottoman lines will break. That story is neat, but it misses why 11,000 men ended up in the sea. If skill alone decided it, the Ottoman army would have broken inland, but they did not. They went into water they could not cross. To see why, look at the evening of 24th July, when Napoleon does not see a perfect fortress, but a cage. 2 walls sit across a beach with no road behind them. He has 10,000 men, while Mustafa has 15,000 but only 8,000 fit to fight. The French have marched from Damanhur through the night, tired and thirsty. Yet Napoleon orders an attack at first light because he believes the trap is set by the other side. On the night of 24th July, he camps with Lannes on the right, Lanus on the left, Murat and D'Estaing in the center. 9,000 infantry, 1,000 cavalry and 17 guns wait. He rides forward and studies the earthworks. The first line is unfinished on the western flank, where the trench is shallow and the parapet low. The second line is stronger on higher ground behind the village. Both lines touch water, which is the strength and the risk. If the first line breaks, the second cannot send help without leaving its trenches. If the second breaks, there is only the village, then sand, then sea. Mustafa has 30 guns in the center and British gunboats firing from both bays. Napoleon decides to hit the weak flank first and roll the line sideways rather than push head-on. At dawn on 25th July, the French advance. Murat leads the center. Lannes on the right has 2,700 men, and Lanus on the left has 2,400. Ottoman guns open and cannonballs cut dust. Lanus hits the unfinished flank, and his infantry go through the trench with bayonets while defenders give ground and then run. Lannes swings behind the first line and fires into its back, and the trench empties in minutes. With French steel behind them and sea on both sides, hundreds of Ottoman soldiers have nowhere to run. They drop muskets and sprint for water to swim to British ships 2 miles offshore. Wool coats soak and drag them down while cartridge boxes pull at waists. Most vanish within 20 meters as the Mediterranean swallows them without sound. Napoleon turns to the second line, where earthworks are finished and British Marines from HMS Tigre stand with Ottoman infantry. French columns go forward and cannon fire tears through them from front and gunboats offshore. The attack stalls and the French pull back to reform. Then comes the Ottoman mistake. Hundreds pour out to chase the French, kneeling to cut heads from the dead and raise them on bayonets. The line thins. A gap opens on the right, where the western bay curves inland. French artillery on a low spit can now fire along the trench, and the shot rakes sideways. Ottoman officers try to pull men back. Some obey, but many do not, and they stand outside spread out with empty space behind them. Murat sees it and does not wait for orders. With about 1,000 horsemen, he wheels and charges through the gap, and horses jump the ditch inside the Ottoman camp. Panic moves faster than they do, and within seconds they are at the command tents. Mustafa Pasha steps from his tent with a pistol and fires at Murat from a few feet. The ball strikes Murat in the jaw while blood fills his mouth. Murat swings his saber, and the blade takes 2 fingers from the Pasha's firing hand, so the pistol drops. French troopers drag the Pasha from his tent while Murat stays in the saddle with his jaw shattered and brings his prisoner back. The Ottoman line sees its commander led away by a bleeding Frenchman and breaks. Men choose water over steel and run to the beach to swim. Hold the image. Midday and the sea is glass. 2 miles offshore, British ships wait with boats lowered, and the distance is 3.2 kilometers, more than 30 football fields. A man in soaked wool cannot swim 30 meters, while muskets drag shoulders under and leather belts hold bodies down. Men who can swim are pulled under by men who cannot. French soldiers watch heads appear and vanish. Napoleon later writes, "They all drowned, the most horrible sight I have seen." He has watched cannon take legs and ordered prisoners shot at Jaffa, yet he chooses these words. British boats pull out officers, including Mehmed Ali saved by a British gig, while most are left. The count will reach 11,000. Not everyone runs to the sea. About 5,000 Ottoman soldiers and British Marines fall back into the fort and village houses, where walls are thick. French guns fire day and night as tide pushes bodies against rocks. Mustafa Pasha, with his hand bandaged, writes 2 letters ordering surrender, but they refuse. They have heard what happened to Ottoman prisoners at Jaffa and expect to be shot. For 7 days, the bombardment continues. French engineers use a ceasefire to measure the bastion. A small sally retakes a few houses before thirst ends it. Gates open and 5,000 men stack muskets as the peninsula turns French. The cost is 220 French killed and 600 wounded. Against that are 2,000 Ottoman dead, 11,000 drowned, 2,000 missing, and 5,000 captured. 2 weeks later, Napoleon leaves. On the night of 22nd August 1799, he slips from Alexandria on a frigate with Murat, Lannon and Berthier, threading past British cruisers. He abandons his army and leaves command to Jean-Baptiste Kleber, the one-eyed general who arrived too late for the battle. Kleber calls the Egyptian venture pointless in private letters. He will be assassinated in Cairo in June 1800. You are right to feel uneasy because this was not genius but geography. Any commander who trapped an army with its back to water could have done the same. The French needed a myth after Acre and Aboukir gave it. Painters were ordered to show Murat's hat and the Pasha's surrender as drownings were counted like trophies. Yet the irony is stark. The victory that made Napoleon's name in Paris did not save Egypt, and within 2 years the army he abandoned surrendered to the British. There is a final detail. Divers off Aboukir find Ottoman buttons and musket balls in sand, but no bones because the sea does not keep them. Which leaves the question no dispatch answers. How many of the 11,000 jumped, and how many were pushed by those behind them? To see how figures become stories, our sponsor gives you clearer tools.